in our industry, you call it high spots, right? So a lot of talent will just depend on flips and they have this coordinated thing, this choreographed routine set out in their mind of what they're going to do with no concept or care of what the audience may react to. Now, what I always loved about wrestling is we could wrestle in El Paso last night, but Toronto the next night, entirely different audience.
Right.
You can't just go out and do the same thing. If you're really good at what you do, you're ad-libbing and you're telling the story as you go by listening to what they're reacting to. So that's why I say there's so many plates to keep in the air. Now, if you're on live TV, you got 10 cameras. You got to know which one's hot because you don't want them seeing you relaying what you want to your opponent or talking to the referee or any of that stuff. Really wild. If that camera at ringside's hot and I got somebody on a chin lock and I want to start, having a little chat with them, oh, we're hot, can't do it. So I got to fill it another way. So maybe now I drop them down and start dropping some knees. I see that the camera switches. Now I grab them back and here we go.
Wow. Interesting, man. I did not know this.
And if you get your bell rung, you still got to. You still have to be aware enough to be able to do those things. And be exhausted too, because there's nothing that prepares you for getting thrown on your back and getting up and running.
For sure.
Can't do it. Unless you got a treadmill that you can fall on and jump back up and run. There's nothing that prepares you for being inside a wrestling ring. Because again, no matter what anybody thinks, it hurts.
Yeah, man.
Oh, there's no doubt it hurts. Even if you try to fall right. I mean, you're still falling. Your body's still crashing down. Somebody's still on top of you. Even if they know how to kind of fall on top of you, they're still falling on top of you.
Bro, what are you thinking when you have like a back full of tacks and you're going head first into a flaming table?
That was a lot of stupidity on my part.
I mean, what the heck, dude?
So I always say that I'm probably missing a chip. And because
a few tools short of a set. That's what my grandfather used to say. A few tools short of a set. That one. But anyway.
Well, that's probably me.
No, get out of here.
I was we were heading into WrestleMania 22, and I was wrestling this guy named Mick Foley, who is also missing a chip. And I thought that Edge should be in the main event. I thought I'd really put in the work to earn that, and I had a chip on my shoulder. So when they said, how about you wrestle Mick? I was like, great, because he's just as nuts. And we got together and we said to ourselves, okay, we're going to steal this show. And we're in a hardcore match, which means there's no rules.
Oh my God.
So I had to sign a waiver before that if anything happened to me, no one was responsible but me. Signed it. Didn't even think about it.
Signed it in blood.
So we get
I was all amped up. Cut myself before I signed it. What? No, Adam, you're insane.
I mean, that's not far off, dude.
I was like, yep, sign it. I'm coming to steal this show.
Wow.
So
I even shanked myself. Oh my God.
Wait, listen, let him
sorry, go. Sorry.
It's when I look back at it now, especially having two little girls now, I realize how stupid it was. But at that point, I'm 32 years old. I'm almost at the pinnacle of my industry. And I got there for a little bit and I tasted it and ratings went up and all these things went up, but then they still went with these story plans that didn't involve me. And that really, really made me angry.
I get it.
Yeah, if the ratings weren't there, if all of that didn't go up, I would have said, okay, failed experiment. Sure. But it worked. So that's hence the chip on the shoulder. Go into this match. It's a hardcore match. Again, Mick Foley is probably missing more chips than me because he's like, we got to use real barbed wire if we're going to use barbed wire. And I'm like, yeah, sure, okay. Yeah. So we're in the match. Now, I've never been hit with a barbed wire baseball bat. Who has? But I realize when he hits me in the stomach how badly that hurts. Oh. So he hits me in the stomach and I'm like, oh, God, that sucks. And I look down, there's all these little punctures. Hits me in the arm. My arm starts bleeding. I'm like, oh, this is pretty legit, right? Rakes it across my forehead. I still got a scar, but we're in it now and also really feeling it. And so is the audience. So landing thumbtacks and I land on the thumbtacks. I'm like, ooh, okay. And that reaction's all pretty legit.
Dude, it's insane.
Now,
it's insane.
It's legit. I'd be crying.
Totally. Oh, God, dude, I can't believe they haven't. It's so insane to watch. Keep going. I'm sorry.
The finish was my idea. And usually when you Usually when you see Edge do something really stupid, it's because Adam cooked it up and he has too much time on his hands. So the finish of this match, I do this thing called the spear, right? So I said, hey, Mick, what if I spear you through the ropes into a flaming table? So he's like, yeah, of course. Now, I didn't even factor in the idea that, he wears a flannel, he wears a t-shirt. He's got like 3 layers of clothing on, right? As I'm coming at him, this is when it dawns on me. Oh, I don't have a shirt on and I'm going face first into these flames.
Oh. With long hair, too. With like lion locks at this point as well, which is very flammable, let me say.
Very. And it's a flame. Like it's legit. And as I'm running, that's when it dawns on me. I'm like, well, I'm here. We're committed. So I hit him and I just tried to tuck my head into his body as much as I could. Burnt my arm, burnt my hair. As I'm rolling over, we go through the table. The fire goes out. As I'm crawling over to cover him for the pin, I see my arm is smoking and it's turning gray. And I'm kind of shaking a little bit. And I didn't fully realize until I got to the back and they're looking at me, and I've seen video of it since, where I'm kind of in shock. And you can kind of tell I don't really know what's going on right now. It's pretty weird to see now, especially, again, where I'm at in life now.
Of course.
Yeah.
He's a different dude then.
Wow. I mean, when we did it, we all did Money Plane together, which is right. Which was an absolute blast. And you were telling it's a if you haven't seen it, it's a complete lunatic debauchery. Who knows? Some people love it, a lot of people hate it. But I had a wonderful time, and you were fucking.
But they never don't feel one way or the other.
100%. 100%.
Apathy's the worst thing.
100%. And honestly, it was against all odds, and that we even finished that thing and pulled it off with like very minimal funds and just completely swinging out of our league, and we did well, and it did well. And a lot of people have even are clamoring about sequels and so on and so forth. But I digress.
You're gonna call it Money Train.
Well, there's lots of money. There's money. Yeah, there's lots of things.
Money Bus.
I said there's
Money Subaru.
Money,
exactly.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh God.
Money Fiat. What anyway? Yeah. But you were such a badass, and you were telling stories, and it was so. I mean, the intensity, it was so radical, man. That industry and up and coming, and like the actual blood, sweat, and tears that you leave in the ring it was astounding to me. And I remember one day on set, not to blow smoke, but dude, I remember one day on set, we were given cameras and an empty stage. And like, it was a movie about a plane, and we were literally building a plane out of cardboard while we were shooting. And we had like turn the cameras and hang curtains because there was just nothing for us. Anyway, so we had this little tiny cockpit, and we threw you in there with a stunt guy and basically said, have a fight. And you delivered this fight after like, an hour and a half, 2 hours of fighting in this cockpit. They wheeled the other stunt guy out, literally wheeled him out. He was bleeding. He was done. Like he was
Who am I?
No, yeah, he was going to go lay in bed for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you sat down, dude, and performed, I think 15, 16 pages of dialogue, like just straight dialogue. And like
bleeding?
Bleeding. I mean, it was actually everybody, right? It was insane, dude. And I was looking at this. I was like, my God. You are so conditioned and you're such a warrior. Yeah. There isn't a movie that you couldn't conquer in your sleep, because what you do on the daily is just it was astounding, man.
My gosh.
Yeah, I was so fucking impressed, and I'm such a huge fan. I can't express it enough how grateful I am for you and your talents, because you really kicked ass.
Well, thank you. But I will say wrestling is phenomenal training for finding yourself in situations where it's like, whatever, like this is not high pressure. This is, I got to go out and fill 9 minutes with a live microphone and the clock's in my head.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Or I just got, slammed off of a ladder through 2 tables, and I still got to be aware what's next.
Yeah. Right.
So a little stunt scene. Okay. Got it. Right. And then dialogue's next. It's phenomenal training. And when I found myself in scenes or in action sequences where everyone else is complaining, and I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, you go back to your trailer, your clothes are hanging there waiting for you, and your meal's waiting for you.
Yep. Yeah. So when my knees hit this ground, these 2 Fernie pads are going to be on this ground, right? I'm not doing one.
I was about
Bernie.
to say. I'm going to take the Kevin Hart route on this. Have you seen his way he likes to be? If he was going to be an NFL quarterback, the way he liked to be sacked. Have you ever seen him do this?
No, it's funny.
You have him lay me down. Now put a pillow underneath my head. Now put a blanket over me. Okay. Now take it easy on me. That's the way I would be.
That's funny. That's funny, man.
Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Brotherly Love Podcast.
And for exclusive weekly bonus content, join our Patreon right now.
That's right, there's a link in the description for that too. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks.